Manoj Mittal. I am past president of Indian Association of StructE Engineers. I am also involved with all these issues and many other professional issues also. I have worked with Mr. Mahinder Raj on such issues, on engineers bill also. And Surya Prakash is the chairman Civil Engineering Division Board and also the council member of Institution of Engineers. So, and he is also involved with the draft engineers bill. Surya Prakash, can you just explain what is the importance of the engineers bill and what is the status of bill at present?
When I was reading the newspaper, I saw that in Delhi Jal Board, 3 engineers are suspended from the service. The reason was the waterworks, when they have excavated for some purpose on Thursday night, one person died falling in the pit because police did not respond to the complaint of a missing person. By morning he died, and the concerned minister suspends 3 engineers. So this is just for a starting of engineers bill need actually. We have also seen in Panjagutta in Hyderabad, when there was an accident during construction of the bridge, 30 engineers were arrested immediately after the incident. All the engineers connected, government, private, all were arrested. Later they were released, that's a different thing. And similarly, in Gujarat, post-Gujarat earthquake, 30 engineers from Ahmedabad were arrested after the collapse. No investigation, nothing. Because engineers are treated on par with any other criminals as per Indian Constitution today. We are not treated as professionals. This is the background of engineers bill actually. Constitution of India does not recognize engineer as a professional. That is why an engineering consultancy is forced to register under shops and establishments in local municipal bodies. This is unfortunate. Whereas a lawyer, a doctor, a chartered accountant, an architect need not register under shops and establishments. So this is the background of engineers bill actually. The Constitution of India still has to recognize engineer as a professional. Now as introduced 1970 onwards, engineers have been working for this. In fact, in my case, I have been working for last 36 years to see that I am recognized as a professional, leave alone the fraternity. First, I have become an engineer with a dream for 60 years, and then I had a shock of my life when I realized in first job that I am not a professional. This is the background, and genesis of engineers bill was there since 1970, but somehow we were coerced not to push for the engineers bill because I heard that one of the ministers commented that why engineers need a bill. You're already making good money those days in 1960s, that decade actually. We are accepted, finally architects bill was enacted and NBC has come into force as mentioned. These two are connected actually, NBC and engineers bill. In fact, that time we were told that NBC will be a statute through which an engineer will be recognized. In fact, when I was working with some Supreme Court retired judge and High Court retired judge, they have mentioned to me in India, an engineer is recognized through 3 statutes. One is AICTE, and the second is National Building Code, in which engineers' competence is defined, and the third is Institution of Engineers. These are the 3 things. In fact, with that only we are recognized. And they are all indirect statutes actually. They are not a direct statute recognized by Constitution of India. Even today, Institution of Engineers is struggling to protect its own AMI graduates actually, after 2013. So it is very much necessary, and the first time in 2001, post-Gujarat earthquake, the Minister for Urban Development has made an announcement that by the winter session of 2001, they will promulgate this Engineers Act. But we all know what happened, that never happened. And 2009, first time, a draft Engineers Bill was finalized, and the Engineers Bill was circulated for approval to 7 connected ministries. And then, unfortunately, Institution of Engineers has objected to that bill because of lack of its representation pro rata. I don't know whether I can explain the background of that, because many people may not be aware why Institution of Engineers has objected. Because Institution of Engineers in 2001 thought that it will initiate Engineers Bill by forming Engineering Council of India, ECI. And Institution of Engineers was the founding member of ECI actually. And it so happened ECI was hijacked by vested interests, I would say. And when the draft Engineers Bill was drafted in 2009, when it came to a final stage, ECI has more representation than Institution of Engineers in the proposed bill. That's why Institution of Engineers did not want that to go through.
Yeah, so essentially you are trying to say there's an infighting between the professional institutions.
Engineers,
That is because,
in fact,
because of that, there's issues.
I came to know about it when we all met Minister MHRD,
Yes, yes.
Smriti Irani ji, that time, 2015. Then they only said, you all engineers have to sort out first who should be leading this Engineers Bill or Professional Engineers Council. And that's when I decided to enter into Institution of Engineers, because we have to fight from inside, not from outside. So that is how I am in Institution of Engineers. And now, in 2019, again, a draft Engineers Bill is prepared through AICTE, and it was given to, under the chairmanship of IIT Director Anand in 2019. Draft Engineers Bill was made ready by AICTE. But unfortunately, in 2020, due to new education policy, the government decided that they should de-link the regulation and education. It's a big fight going on in all the councils actually, medical council, bar council, whether these councils should have the right to give recognition to educational institution. In fact, even recently when we met Niti Aayog, they were surprised that some of the councils are still not coming under AICTE, higher education. So that's why now we know that higher education bill is passed. And in the recent AICTE, when they have proposed to draft the bill and submit it to the government as Indian Professional Engineers Council to be part of Higher Education Council. So that is how it was proposed. And at present, as and today, the status is the government has formed a committee with the Niti Aayog member as the chairman of this Engineers Bill committee. AICTE chairman is the co-chairman of the committee, and Institution of Engineers is an invited member in that committee to finalize the draft Engineers Bill, which has to come into this. In fact, the Engineers Draft Bill in the present form, IPEC 2020, is, I don't oppose it as it is actually. It's fine, except for some representation issues which we are talking about. And what you mentioned that the professional bodies have no representation is not correct actually. There are 20 professional bodies mentioned in the draft Engineers Bill, out of which there will be representation by rotation because of the number of people present in those associations. In fact, when I met the minister, they asked me, I was representing Association of Consulting Civil Engineers, you are talking so much, how many members you have? I said 3,500 members. They said, you think that 3,500 members body should have a bill? This is what is the reaction of a politician. So all engineers, if we go together, like Institution of Engineers being in the front, like 2.5 lakh corporate members and 6.5 lakh members. So we should work together with all the associations and make a representation. And if it goes in the present form, we should accept it. I want to say that the Engineers Bill is for forming the Indian Professional Engineers Council, which will authorize some of the professional bodies to accord this professional engineer status to the engineers based on the CPD only. In fact, bill will not define what should be the guidelines for professional engineer and all. Each professional body can define, and that is all to be discussed and done. But first of all, engineers have to get recognition from the Constitution. That should be our aim. All engineers should work for it. And in the present form, with the present committee, we should pursue and push it, as Srikanth said, We have to aggressively pursue with Niti Aayog, AICT, and the members of parliament, as Raman Naik said. And we should aim to get this bill passed as soon as possible. We are at the nearest point after 2009, actually. 17 years it took to reach this stage, so we should all work for it. Let us be united, let us work for it, and let us see that, let's not bother who is getting lead, who is getting back seat, but we should keep all engineers in the front seat, all associations together. This is my concluding remark.